Hey guys, Sherman614 here. Now, I'm going to start this off by saying I'm almost 100% sure that everybody in the knife community knows who Mr. Mel Pardue is. He's the designer of many great knives. Just naming one, the insanely high value and high selling Benchmade Griptilian. Now this is probably the flagship of Benchmade. Benchmade's probably sold more Griptilians than anything. So, you see right there, Mel Pardue. You can find this on a lot of different models like the 550, Benchmade 550 Pardue. Great blade. That is actually what is on my background on my profile. Not my profile, my channel. It is a Benchmade 530. I've gotten a lot of questions on that too, by the way. But yeah, it is a Benchmade 530 Pardue design, and this is a full-sized 553 Griptilian. So that being said, like I said, I'm sure most of you know who Mr. Mel Pardue is, but I'm not sure if many of you guys know who his son is, Mr. Joe Pardue. Now Joe has carried on his father's pretty much legacy of innovative and great blades, and also pretty affordable. And he is also a custom knife maker just like his father, and has come out with a ton of great blades. And one of them that I managed to get my hands on, pow, is this. This is the Ontario Utilitac Joe Pardue design. Amazing, amazing blade. You saw this in my unboxing video. I have a cutting video coming out pretty soon. And I'm going to set that aside for a second and show you the box. Very cool, electric, very vibrant blue box. This is Utilitac with the T's as swords, provided by Ontario Knife Company. So, Joe Pardue. Handle with care. Utilitac knives are extremely sharp, and that is the truth. Okay. Ontario Knife Company. Nothing really fancy comes with this. The knife was wrapped in plastic, which you see in there. It didn't come with any kind of fancy paperwork. I mean, that's unfortunate. I kind of like a good read with my knives. You know, it's kind of cool with the SOG and Kershaw's. They always have like a little product guide, but anyway, you got to keep your price point down. So, as I do with just about every one of my reviews, I'm going to start with the handle. Now, at first glance, it may look like G10, but it is just FRN. But just a fiberglass reinforced nylon, very hard stuff. And like a lot of the Ontario designs, they get it right. Look, I don't know if you noticed right off the bat, 4-way pocket clip design, which means this sucker can be mounted tip up, tip down, left or right hand carry. It is a very ambidextrous knife, as you see right off the bat with the big finger choil and the dual thumb studs. So that right off the bat is awesome. I mean, I look for that. It's not a deal breaker if I can't get it, but I mean, that is something that the Griptilian doesn't have. I mean, it's just tip up, left or right hand. Now, as this came, it came tip down. I prefer, that's not with all knives, I found I like carrying this tip up better. That is generally what I like. Like I said in my video that I was going to reverse this to tip up. I prefer tip up carry. That's just my own personal preference for most knives, not all. So, that's what I did here. Anyway, kind of an odd texturing. You see all those little bitty dots. And there's a little line right there. It's kind of neat. And it's a different little design. It's very reminiscent of a pistol grip of 1911 almost. It's just reminiscent of a pistol grip period. So, clip is very generic. There's nothing on the clip at all, nothing stamped on there, but it is that very nice coating. So that's pretty cool. Very strong clip. I mean, like I'm pulling on it. I'm not too fond of the shape. I prefer more of an upswept, but if it gets in the way, you can definitely modify that pretty easily. But just a standard pocket clip, I don't mind it. The material is not rough. I mean, it offers somewhat good traction, but it's not rough, so I have been carrying this for a while, and it has not had any ill effects on my pocket whatsoever. So that's always a plus. I like that. I'd prefer some traction with a little bit of smooth part right there underneath the clip, like Kershaw does. You know, I'm not leveling the knife. It's just a criticism I have with a lot of knives. Griptilian being one. You got that very rough, volcano-like kind of diamond ridges there, the little pattern. And that pocket clip was resting on it, and it was very tight, and it was ripping up my pocket. So I had to sand them down. It's unfortunate that a lot of companies just don't get that right, but you know. Now, as I got this, the clip was it had no contact with the handle. It was like this. So I took the clip off, held that part down with a clamp, and bent it downward. Now, before you try this at home, just be aware there is a possibility that you're going to break that pocket clip in half. I've done it. I've seen it done. So keep in mind, I'm not advising you to just go out and try that. But I took the risk, and I had to do that. Now, if you broke it, would Ontario send you a new one? Probably. But maybe not, you know, because that's kind of what they consider, you know, a violation of your return, because it's abuse. So, anyway, just moving on. So, mine came like that. I'm not sure if yours will. I think they all vary. I think every knife varies in quality, so even Spyderco knives. The clip is mounted pretty much as high as it will go, which is nice. I like that. You know, most big blades, they want to put that clip like way down here, mount that, but and it's a very nice, nicely sized pocket clip, much like the Griptilians. Now, I know I keep using the Griptilian as reference, but I mean, you have a Joe Pardue and a Mel Pardue, so they're kind of reminiscent of each other. It has a lanyard hole, but as most lanyard holes, it is too small for most material. Now, it came with a lanyard. It was a very cheesy grade nylon paracord handle, or not handle, lanyard. So it probably will not accommodate 550 cord. You can definitely try it, but I think it's just way too small for 550 cord. I wish they would have made that bigger. I like what the Tenacious has, where they have that big lanyard hole with the metal eyelet right in the middle of the pocket clip. So they're not mounting it all weird in different positions, because where that pocket clip is placed, it leaves them very little room to drill out a hole right here. So that's why it's so small, because there's not enough room. But what the Tenacious did is they put that hole right in the middle of their clip mounting surface. So that's probably one of my favorite clip designs of all time, because it's just very efficient, and it makes do with the little room that they have. But here again, reminiscent of the Griptilian's design, which I also find too small for paracord. Can be done, but it's pushing it. So anyway, I've realized I've been talking almost 10 minutes about the handle. Anyway, Torx bit constructed. Of course, your adjustable pivot. Every knife has that, just about. Jimping on the bottom of the handle right here. Again, reminiscent of the Griptilian, where it's not on the bottom, but it's more or less on the side. Pretty nice. It's pretty. It adds some for good traction. Jimping on the top of the handle. I'll get to that. So let's pop this blade out. God, that is just gorgeous. Had a lot of compliments on this blade. It is definitely a very different tanto design. Now here again, I say tanto, you guys might say tanto. It really doesn't make a difference. But God, just look at that. That's gorgeous. Got all those grind lines. Just gorgeous. Nice polish, nice finish. But anyway, on the blade you see Utilitac. And I didn't notice this in my unboxing. After I turned the camera off, I realized it is a collector's first production run. says right there, stamped on the blade, as you see. So that's really cool. Now there's another reviewer who I believe has the only other review of this knife. I can't think of his name right off the bat. I'll put his channel in an annotation right here. So check his video out. He has a very nice review. That's where I found out about this knife originally. Because this is a somewhat hard to find knife. And I also said in my unboxing that I got this. I forgot where I said I bought it, but I actually got it on the Knife Center, I think. I'll also put that I'll put it in the description because I fouled up in my unboxing video with the name, and people were like, "Man, I went to that knife website you told me about and they didn't have any." Yeah, that's my bad. But I put in an annotation in my unboxing what knife store really was. Anyway, it's very different. It is reminiscent of the Cold Steel Recon 1's Tanto design, where it has that kind of pyramid shape coming to that tip. But it is a very nice reinforced tip, heavily reinforced. You got the little swedge going on there. Just the process they went through to get all those different grind lines, I can see where some of the price came from, which was 41 something. It was like 41.98, which isn't too bad because you're getting, while we had the blade out here, let's go ahead and get the inches. You're getting a almost 4-inch blade. You're getting a 3 3/4 inch tanto blade. Why did you say tanto? I always say tanto. Anyway, let's check out width this way, because right off the bat you notice that the blade is thicker than most of the handle, which I think is wicked. So at the tallest point it is 1.5 inches thick blade. That's from the tip there of that thumb ramp to the bottom of that blade. That is wicked, guys. That is just that's a meat cleaver right there. It's like a butcher's cleaver. And in a self-defense role, that is what this is going to be, basically. A meat cleaver. This thing is a chopper from hell. And let me tell you, when they say on the box, Utilitac knives are sharp, they don't play around. This knife came razor sharp. I mean, it was hair shaving, just right out the gate. Little piece of paper, let's see if I can, that was a bad example there. I mean, it is ridiculous. And even the top portion, like a lot of Tantos, the top portion right here, the secondary edge isn't that sharp. But God, they did a great job sharpening that blade. For a $41 knife, but Ontario doesn't disappoint. Their Rat 1 folder was just as sharp. This knife actually may be a little sharper. So that blade is just insanely sharp. And just really cool looking. My mom saw this and she really loved it, and she hates my knives. She's afraid of them, but anyway. I showed this to a few friends. They loved it. They said, "Man, I've never seen a blade design like that." I'm like, I know. That's what I thought. But here again, it's reminiscent of the Mel Pardue's Tanto design for the Griptilian. All those different type of grind lines. That just makes it really cool and very aesthetically pleasing. Now, I prefer a full flat ground blade in terms of performance. But man, this is a collector's blade. It's a collector's first production run. I'm not going to go out and baton wood with this knife. This is going to stay in my display box. I'm going to keep this knife. I'm going to baby it. Because like I said, it's a first production run knife. It's a collectible. And with that blade design, it's just such a cool collector's knife. OS 8A steel, by the way. OS 8A. This knife was made in Taiwan, which I have no problem with because, as you see, this is an excellent quality knife. And it also says Joe Pardue. Thumb studs, very nice. You got the dual thumb studs. They are, I like to call them kind of they're kind of like honeycomb shaped. It is the same thumb stud that the Ontario Rat 1 uses. That terraced design. When I say terraced, I mean the layer upon layer of gradually smaller discs, kind of tapering. Now, I don't like that little rounded portion right there because it kind of tends to make your thumb roll off of it, because you see it's smooth and rounded. So don't try to clip it with, you know, the tip of the stud. Try to get it at the base, and once you do, man, that blade flies out very smooth. But it does have the phosphor bronze bushings. I don't know if you can see them down there. Just like the Rat 1, so that's amazing. Love that. Used to be only $100 knives had those, but it's just so freaking smooth. Didn't have to oil it. I did anyway, because I like to do that with my knives. It protects them from all kinds of grime, you know, or it helps anyway. So, but it didn't need it. It was this smooth right out of the box. My thumb's kind of inhibited. So, very nice dual thumb studs. So this is a very ambidextrous knife, so lefties, you won't have a problem wielding this. Let's talk about the jimping, as I like to do. Very nice Chris Farley? Far spaced jimping. It's very nicely spaced. But I found with the high polish that this blade is at, and the way this jimping is rounded, that it's not as good as some designs. But if you really dig your thumb, the fat of your thumb in there, it's not moving. Plus you have that deep finger choil, and the way that the handle is shaped, it just really sucks your hand in and locks it in very nicely. So I actually like that jimping. It could be a little bit better, but not much. Even the jimping in the handle is nice, though. I mean, it's pretty much a full run of jimping, and it leads up to a tiny little thumb ramp. So that's one thing I've always leveled about the Griptilian in terms of the jimping. I've always hated the jimping. Look at my thumb. It's so smooth. But with this, I mean, it really, your thumb digs in. So it could be nicer, but I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give the jimping an 8. I love it. So you got a nice thumb ramp. So, you know, I dig it. They did a good job. I was impressed with the jimping. God, I just love that blade. So nice to look at. Speaking of jimping, inside the liner lock, kind of a different jimping for the lock. I mean, looking at it this way, it looks milled out. Well, that's basically it's what it is. It's a little milled out, where they've taken a drill, just drill little notches in there. So it looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like where a bear's claw came in and scraped it. It's the best way I can describe it. I'm weird. Anyway. The contact is very shallow. Not very, but it's not a 50% or 100% contact like hell, my CRKT Drifter. That liner comes all the way over and contacts the second liner here. But it does contact, the entire liner is in contact with the tang of the blade, so that's nice. It took a little bit of working in to disengage. It was a little bit difficult at first, but like most knives, you got to break them in. So after about a few hundred openings and closing, it got a lot more smooth, and it's now very easily disengaged. That jimping is really nice in terms of it really grabs the fat of your thumb and allows you to disengage that blade. Now after a while, now this just average use, it won't do this, but after a while, it did hurt my thumb a little bit. It did make my the fat of my thumb a little bit tender, because it does grab your thumb. I mean, it's good, because if your fingers are wet or you're wearing gloves, you want that to grab. So I think that is a really nice design. I'm just saying, if you're going to sit here and play with this knife for a few hours, that's going to hurt your thumb a little bit. But I think that would be pretty much any knife. But I always like to bring up any possible thing, good or bad, or just a quality of the knife that I can. To give you guys a full detailed review, I want to bring up everything that I can possibly think of that's going to, you know, going to be an effect. That might affect you. Might affect you. So that is not a deterrent. Now I've handled some knives where the liner's like, God, ow, 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 shit. And you know, you're sitting there with your thumb in pain, almost bleeding because it's just such a odd design. And it's so hard to disengage. But once you break it in, yours might already come broken in. Some knives don't need breaking in. Some, you know, you might get one, it might be completely smooth. You might get one, it might be 10 times worse than mine. You know, it is a production knife. They're all from a factory. They're all going to be a little bit different. So, just keep that in mind. That if you're going to be sitting here playing with this for a few hours, it's going to tenderize your thumb a bit. But I do like that they did that, because it is going to grab. So, here's a different view. You can see that liner lock. So you do get a nice, it's not completely recessed like I've seen in a lot of designs where you really have to push your thumb in there. Like I love the Kershaw Skyline, but it is really hard for my big thumbs to get in there and disengage that lock. A really, really small lock. So that's pretty nice. Like I said, deep finger choil, nice contour here. It's nice, just nice, very, very nice handle design. Now, here's the biggest criticism I have of the knife, and it's good that this is the biggest and really the only criticism I have. Non-skeletonized steel liners. In my opinion, there's no excuse. Very, very thick liners, as you see. Very thick liners, and they really should have drilled them out, skeletonized them. You're not losing anything. You're not losing any properties of the knife's strength and rigidity. Some say it makes the knife stronger, but this is going to make it a lot lighter. I'm not sure of the ounces. I think it's 5 ounces, somewhere around that area. 5.1 maybe. I will put it in an annotation around here. But weight isn't an issue with me. I carry a lot of weight in my pockets. I mean, I carry cell phones, wallets, keys. What is an extra 5 ounces? I really don't care. People carry, you know, their firearms. If you have a carry conceal license, then you're carrying around, you know, a 2-pound handgun or whatever. So weight, in my opinion, is not an issue. Weight is not an issue for me. Weight is an issue with a lot of people for their carry, but I have no issue with this. I like to know my knife is there. I like to feel it. I like some heft every now and then. But then again, I also love the Kershaw Skyline. I love the Kershaw Leak. I love CRKT Drifter. Very svelte, very lightweight knives. I can't even feel my Boker that's on me. But anyway, so if weight is an issue, you probably want to look at a different knife, such as the Griptilian. It's about the same size, same design, same qualities, better blade steel, but it is very light. Whoop, and then now it's broken. Not really. So, very nice though. As I said before, very smooth opening and closing. Blade just pops right out. A lot of weight behind that blade though. As I said before, excellent shearing knife, excellent shearing potential and penetration because of that tanto design. So yeah, I wish they would skeletonize those liners, but this is a very heavy duty knife. This is meant for hard use. Along with the Rat 1 folder, also made by Ontario. Randall design, by the way. Anyway, so I like to have seen that, but these knives are meant for hard use. So I've seen a lot of people go in and they'll drill out their own liners of their Rat 1, which you could do this with this knife as well. You could probably shave a full ounce off if you were really good. So that would be really cool. And you wouldn't be losing anything. Excellent knife, excellent, excellent knife. I would recommend carrying one of these when you go camping. And even EDC rolls, this might be a good choice, unless your state will not allow you to carry a knife of this size. Or maybe you don't like carrying a knife of this size. But this knife is just a collector's piece for me, because especially since now that I know it's a first production run, I don't know how much longer you're going to be able to get these. The guy who has pretty much the only other review other than this one on YouTube, his is also a first production run, and I was really hoping mine would be too. So that's really cool. So me and him both have a collector's first run. It's not serialized like Spyderco's will do, but so yeah, really digging this knife. Excellent. Like I said, I've been carrying it for a little while. I have not cut anything other than paper and one bottle with it. So I'm gonna kind of baby this one, not make it a user. I might get a new one, another one, and use it, but I'm not sure yet. Now, if you're not a fan of the Tanto design, they also make clip point styled blades, or a drop point style, with kind of a recurve design, but it's also really fat. So if you love this knife, but maybe not a huge fan of Tanto designs, then just look into that, because there's a bunch of different Utilitac II designs. So check this knife out. I got it for $41 at Knife Center, I believe. Here again, if I make that mistake again, like I did in my unboxing, it's an annotation right here. So yeah, that is my review of the amazing Joe Pardue design, Ontario supplied Utilitac II Tanto. Great knife. I would highly recommend this to anyone if you like a big blade. Now, if you're used to really small knives, then you probably want to get a different blade. But it is a very nicely designed, very nicely constructed knife, and I highly recommend. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Sherman614. Peace.